Before we start, I just want to mention that I featured and took part in a little skit in the Value King, so please do check that video out. I'll leave a link in the video description and also in the pinned comments. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's really cool to work with those guys. They're some really solid guys. Anyway, one of my best friends, Ross, got a new phone, so I thought, cool, new review material. Hey guys, my name's Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and this is the Moto X 4th generation in 2018 and beyond. Firstly, I want to talk about build quality and design, because it's not something that I associate Motorola phones with, especially as a lot of them have had problems, been cracked, and all that kind of thing in the past. However, this just screams quality. Like, it reminds me a lot of my S7 Edge, which of course at the time was a top tier phone. You got those metal rails around the outside, that glass back, that glass front, and it's also cohesive, and the roundness and the smoothness, and they've just got it just right so it feels like maybe double or even triple the value of the smartphone that it is. And this is something I think Motorola has absolutely nailed with this phone. Compared to Ross's previous phone, which was the X 2nd generation, which is one of my favourite built phones of all time, this is up there. This is competing with it. However, in some markets you get wireless charging, but especially in the UK you don't get wireless charging. Unfortunately, this is something that I was kind of upset to hear about, because when I first saw the phone I was like, cool, it has wireless charging, it has a glass back. But it doesn't. It's just something to mention. The camera bump is slightly different. It's abstract, it's new, it's not like other camera bumps, but it's still there. You get a headphone jack, which is awesome. You get a Type-C port, which is doubly awesome. And the overall fit and finish of the device is great, considering it has IP67 water and dust resistance. The front-facing fingerprint scanner is definitely fast. It reminds me a lot of the shape of the OnePlus 3s, but just slightly skinnier. It's faster than the OnePlus 3s, which is absolutely mental. And it's accurate. Ross was like, right, you got to check out this fingerprint scanner, it's absolutely nuts, and I definitely agree with him, it's mental. The 5.2 inch 1080p display is sharp, and it's one that I really like. However, I was absolutely flabbergasted to hear that it's IPS, because this display is just so vibrant that it doesn't seem like an IPS panel. It seems more like an OLED, but it's not, so battery life is going to be a hindrance here, and also it's not going to look quite as good in the dark. But yeah, this is definitely a very punchy, vibrant, gets nice and bright display, especially for an IPS panel, and I think that a lot of you are going to absolutely love it. Of course, it doesn't have those minimal bezels, and it does have on-screen buttons despite the massive chin and forehead, but the overall experience is really good for a budget phone. And also you're going to get a better battery life due to the fact that it's 1080p and not overkill with anything like QHD. Snapdragon's mid-range 630 makes an appearance here, which at first I thought was going to be a big hindrance towards the phone since it's only a quad-core chip, but it works well, it's fairly seamless, and with Motorola's really light skin on top of Android, you almost get a stock vibe, which is really nice to hear, especially of a budget phone which usually has loads of skins on it and it's horrible, it's got loads of bloatware. This one's nice and has those Motorola features, such as waving your hand over the display to give you an ambient display, as well as those double chop and other swipe features that enable those shortcuts, which is awesome. Of course, you get 8.0 Oreo, which is also really nice, and the application set is nice. There's not a lot of bloatware. The Adreno 508 GPU powers the display with pretty much no problems. It can run a lot of games, maybe not the latest games at the highest quality settings, but you're definitely getting a good gaming experience on this phone. And with those large chin and forehead bezels, gives you somewhere to put your thumbs when playing games that don't require tapping on the screen. You get either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM with 64GB variants, or 3 gigs of RAM and 32GB of storage in some variants as well. And with all of these variants, you get microSD expansion, which is really nice to know. You'll really want to shoot a lot of photos and videos with this camera because it's stunning. I know I really disliked the LG's camera because the sensor was bad, but obviously that was a higher end phone. This, you get a 12 megapixel main camera, which has got some really good dynamic range, better than I expected, and can shoot UHD video, which is awesome. And you get a wide 8 megapixel sensor with a wider lens that is really awesome. I'm actually really happy with this camera. For a budget to mid-range phone, I really like what they've done here, and they've given you a nice wide field of view on the back camera. And as a photographer and cinematographer, this is something that pushes my buttons. Definitely prefer it over static or even telephoto lenses. Dynamic range and sharpness aren't quite as good on that wide angle sensor and lens combo. However, it's not bad despite the price. The electronically stabilized video looks smooth, especially on the main camera, and the software blends in with the modern Android look and works well as well. As for the front camera, it's 16 megapixels, which I would usually say, wow, that's an impressive front camera. And it does have a front flash, which I'm really into for some reason. I just really like how it's a front flash. That's really cool to me. However, the sharpness doesn't reflect the 16 megapixel nature. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good selfie camera and I really like it, and it does enable some beautification mode sometimes, but the overall look of it just doesn't scream 16 megapixels to me. And so I would say this is more in the realm of a 5 to 8 megapixel sensor in terms of how it looks. But it does shoot 1080p video as well, which is really cool. The 3000 mAh battery is one that I wouldn't call huge, and I wouldn't say it lasts forever, but it's not bad because of course you've got that 1080p display and that low power SoC. Ross tends to get a full day, and I would get maybe around 3/4 of a day with this thing. Of course, I do a lot more on my phone than Ross does. I'm constantly using the camera, browsing social media and updating my analytics, compared to maybe what Ross uses it for, which is Messenger. The Motorola skin does a pretty good job of reducing background tasks, which is awesome. Fast charging is super useful for topping up throughout the day. However, like I said before, you don't get wireless charging, which is unfortunate. And the front firing mono speaker is actually really cool. I like it. It's pointed in the right direction. It's a lot clearer than most speakers. And again, with IP67 water and dust resistance, they haven't hindered this. For £200, it has some stiff competition by the likes of the OnePlus 3, the S7, stuff like that, the iPhone 6S when you get it on a good deal. I find that this is a better option than most because you can get it brand new at this price, and also it gives you a lot of features despite the price. Of course, it's going to be down to whether you like the aesthetic. However, personally, I can easily recommend this phone to any of you looking for a good budget smartphone. And it offers a stellar screen, a really good camera, and some great performance for about, what, a quarter of the price of the highest end flagships? And I'd say it's more than a quarter of the smartphone. So yes, Failtech recommends this phone. Really awesome. Thanks, Ross, for letting me check it out. Anyway, again, I really recommend you check out that skit or that whole video. Link in the comments, pinned comment, because I really enjoyed shooting some of the video for that. And whilst I only did a little bit, it's really cool to work with those guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you took away something from this video. Please do follow me on social media because it helps me out, and hopefully we can start a conversation over there as well. I have got some behind the scenes stuff on Instagram, so I recommend you go and follow me there. Thanks to Hashtag Gamer, Darren, and Ross for supporting me on Patreon. Please do like, dislike, comment, and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. My name's been Ryan Thomas for Failtech, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.